Welcome back, episode 5.
Took a week off
of season 4. We did take a week off last week. Rupe, how you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
Keithy, how you doing?
Well, thanks, Danny.
Okay, and our guest this week is the one and only. I feel like there should be a drum roll for Dave Madden. How you doing, Dave?
I'm good. How you doing, Dan?
I'm doing great. So Dave is not a listener, as I found out in my pursuit of having him on the show. So we're going to give you the lay of the land here, Dave. We have sort of an open discussion. Tell some stories, tell some jokes at the beginning. We stay away from politics, religion, and any hot button topics that might get people
Democrats
triggered. Triggered. We try to stay away from that, and then eventually we get into you and how you ended up where you are.
All right.
All right?
Although, are you following what's happening down in Texas?
Whoa. What are we doing here?
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
We just got done saying no politics.
I know, but okay. All right.
What's going on in Texas?
Was I supposed to get a list of hot button topics?
No, they're the ones that you know, right? Like we don't talk about, if you I tell you what, if you touch the button, we'll let you know.
All right.
All right?
Good deal.
What's going on in Texas?
The whole the border crossing.
Yeah.
With the federal government telling Texas they can't have razor wire up, they can't be stopping people from coming in. The Texas governor and they're like, we are going to stop them, and we're putting the wire up, and
It's a big fight.
Big fight, huge fight.
Yeah, we don't really talk about that stuff.
Civil War, baby. Let's do it.
After.
So anybody ever know where the name New York Yankees came from? Any idea?
No idea.
Guessing Yankees Civil War, maybe?
No, that's what I would have thought.
No? Okay.
But the city of New York was founded by the Dutch. And the Dutch were not very well liked. Okay? And the majority of Dutch men they had two names. One was Jan. Jan is Dutch for, why are you laughing?
Is this a joke?
No, it's not a joke.
Jan.
His Jan.
With a J.
No, I think it's with a Y.
Oh, really?
I don't know. Maybe it's with a G. You think it's with a, I have my notes says Y, but
It's definitely Y.
okay. What it's Jan. You say Jan. That's how you pronounce it in Dutch.
That's how you say it in Dutch?
Why is that so funny? This is not a joke. Okay. Which is John. Jan is John in Dutch. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And the other one was Key. A lot of the men had the name Key. Jan Key turned into Yankees. You ruined my whole story. That's what happened.
But it wasn't a joke.
No, it's not a joke. That actually happened.
So funny.
Well, that's just mean. You're being mean today.
Why are you looking at me? What did I do?
What is going on right now?
I have the giggles.
Is it me?
No, I must be. Look what you're doing to this woman, Dave. What is going on?
Boss, you're making Dave very uncomfortable.
I mean, you got all dressed up. There's something going on here. You got all dressed up. You've never been this dressed up for a guest before. You can't control yourself.
I wear almost everything I have on at least once a week.
Oh, this is going to go back to no one notices me?
Yeah, no one notices me.
Is that what we're going to go with this now? Huh? Unbelievable. No one liked my Yankee story because you ruined it. You completely ruined it. The other interesting story that I heard, do you guys know about Paul Newman and his salad dressing? Do you know the story there?
I do.
What's the story?
All the proceeds go to charity.
Yeah, $550 million he's donated to charity.
Mm-hmm.
Every ounce of profit, every penny of profit from Newman's own
It's amazing.
salad dressing goes to charity. He started it. He used to give it out to his friends at Christmas time as like a Christmas gift.
Mm-hmm.
And he never took a penny of profit from it. Is he still alive?
What was the name of the movie he was it with Tom Cruise?
Oh, Color of Money?
Color of Money.
Oh, great movie.
Cool movie.
Yeah.
Cool Hand Luke. He was in Cool Hand Luke.
Slapshot.
He was like the Tom Cruise, he was like the Tom Cruise of the generation before. Like every movie Tom Cruise is in, you want to be Tom Cruise.
Do you know who Paul Newman is?
Oh my God. You don't know who Paul Newman
Is
is?
he a singer?
No, he's not.
Who am I thinking of?
I don't know. Paul Newman. I'm telling you.
I don't know.
What other movie was he in? Cool Hand Luke. I mean, he's in a million movies. But think about the roles that Tom Cruise has played.
Cool guy.
Boxer,
Boxer,
action star,
fighter pilot.
Mission Impossible.
Think about it.
Spy.
Every role. Go all the way back to high school. What was the high school movie he was in? He was a football player. He was a stud football player. All the Right Moves.
Yeah.
Risky Business. Risky Business. He has the party, and I mean,
He was a rich kid. He threw a party.
yeah. I mean, who doesn't want to be him? I mean, every single role, Tom Cruise. That's Paul Newman's the same way. Color of Money. He was the hustler, right? Tom Cruise was his apprentice. But I thought that was a really cool story about Paul Newman and how he donated all his money to charity. Another story that I heard. You guys are very quiet today. I don't know what's going on in this podcast room, but you're very quiet. You wanna know how Nacho started?
You yelled at me for laughing.
Do you want to know how Nacho started? I'm going to tell you how Nacho. This is not a joke, guys.
Like the snack nachos?
Yes.
Okay.
Nacho cheese.
During World War II, there was a military base in Eagle Pass, Texas,
Oh yeah,
right on the Rio Grande.
all over the news right now.
Eagle Pass?
Yep.
For real?
Yeah, the border crossing.
We're going
Yeah.
back to Texas.
It's going back to Texas, Rio Grande. And there used to be a restaurant on the Mexican side of the Rio Grande called the Victory Club. And all the wives of the servicemen used to go to this place called the Victory Club for lunch. They used to cross the Rio Grande and go over for lunch. This is during the World War II. And one day they showed up and they couldn't find the chef. There was no chef. So the woman who was working there, her name was Ignacio, but they called her Nacho. So she went back into the kitchen and just piled a bunch of stuff onto a bunch of tortilla chips and served it to these women. And it became a famous dish at this place called the Victory Club in Mexico that all the servicemen's wives would go and they would get nachos. That's how nachos started.
Interesting.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
I think that's pretty.
Ignacio knew John Key? Or no?
Yonki.
Jan Key.
Yeah.
Yonki.
With a J.
With a J. Keith, you got any jokes? Let's get into some jokes. I feel like we need to up the. And I got some other. I mean, this whole thing has been a kerfuffle. This whole start of this show.
There it is, Mad Dog. All right. I need my glasses. What does my father have in common with Nemo?
You can't find him.
That's what I was gonna say.
They both can't be found.
I don't know how that's even funny.
Kind of funny.
I find it hilarious. Do you know the phrase "one man's trash is another man's treasure"?
I do know that phrase.
Great saying.
Yeah.
Horrible way to find out you're adopted.
Oh my goodness. Well, you know my wife's adopted, right?
Yeah, I knew that.
Is she really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't
Yeah.
know that.
Yeah. Yeah, she's adopted.
No way.
Yeah.
Yep.
And actually my brother's wife is also adopted.
Wow.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
That we both married adopted people.
And now you have a beautiful family.
We do. We ended that we
Yeah.
stopped the the cycle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Babies by acquisition.
Charity Catholic Charities is where my Marlene was found, adopted from. Go ahead.
My wife told me sex is better on vacation.
So you went away?
It's not the best postcard to get.
I like that one.
That was a good one. Nice. Well done.
That's it.
That's it?
That's it. That's yeah.
That's all the jokes you got?
I mean, I gotta.
Keep it clean. Keep it clean. You have any jokes? Yeah, you
always do, David.
Get any funny jokes? Dad jokes? It's kind of the impetus behind this was dad jokes. I have kind of a riddle, I guess you would call it, that I'd like to say.
Let's hear it.
All right. There were 30 cows and 28 chickens in a field. How many didn't?
How many didn't?
That's right. Do you know the answer? There were 30 cows and 28 chickens in a field. Who didn't? How many didn't?
What?
I'm stumped.
What do you mean what? There were 30 cows and 28 chickens. How many didn't?
They all did
They all did what?
in the field.
No. Nope. Listen to the words that I'm speaking. That are coming. You know it?
I do.
You do?
I do.
She does. Look how she's so proud of herself.
Yeah, I don't want to ruin it for you.
There are 30 cows in a field and 28 chickens. How many didn't? Come on, you're a smart guy.
30 cows
Two?
in the field.
Nope. There were 30 cows in the chicken and
Yeah.
28 chickens. How many didn't? I'm giving it away. There were 30 cows in a field and 28 chickens.
Mm-hmm.
How many didn't?
30 cows and 10 of them.
There you go, Dave. There you
There we go.
Yeah.
I got it. It took a little while, but yeah.
That's good, though. So that just goes you the importance of how you say things matters. It's not just what you say, but like I changed the way that I said that, and you got it.
Yeah. Do we need to explain it to you, or are we good?
I think I got it. The cows ate the chickens.
How many of them?
There we go.
10 of them.
No.
There was 28 of them.
Yeah, 20 of them ate chickens.
Right.
How many didn't?
That's right.
Yeah. Oh my God. Oh my goodness. So my a friend of mine went over to dinner at his in-laws' house, and sitting around the table, and they got a dog named Sparky, and the guy's there, and he's got some gas. Oh, he's got to he's got a toot at the dinner table, right? So he lets out a silent one, and it smells really bad. And his mother-in-law says, "Sparky, get out from under the table. Jeez, get out from under the table, Sparky." The dog doesn't move, and my buddy Jimmy's like, "Jeez, oh good, they think it's the dog. I gotta do another one." He lets another one go. It smells worse than the last one. The mother-in-law again says, "Sparky, Jesus, Sparky, get out from under the table." Sparky doesn't move. My buddy Jimmy's like, "It's good, man. I gotta let another one go. This one might be the worst one." So he lets another one go, and it's the worst one. It smells the worst than the first two. Finally, the mother-in-law says, "Sparky, get out from under the table before Jimmy shits his pants." I like that one.
Yeah, I like that too.
That was a good one. All right, I got one more joke. I have a bunch of Chuck Norris jokes, but I think I'm gonna leave those to next week. And then I got kind of a little story, but my last joke is told Marlene that I could make a car out of spaghetti. Should have seen her face when I drove pasta. You guys didn't like that one?
No.
Drove pasta.
I kind of wish you saved that one for next week.
Ah, that's a bummer. So did I say I had another story, or should we move on to Mr. Madden at this point? I feel like Mr. Madden's got a very interesting story, and we want to get into him. So
Great story.
I'm
yeah,
excited to hear it.
yeah.
Well, thanks.
All right, Mr. Madden. We start right at the beginning. So where were you born?
I was born in Weymouth, grew up in Duxbury,
Okay, when you were born in Weymouth, does that mean you were born at South Shore Hospital?
South Shore Hospital.
There we go.
You listened.
Did you listen to the podcast?
I might have done a little research.
No, a sales guy never walks into a meeting without doing a little research, right?
Yeah. Also, where all three of my kids have been born too. So
South Shore Hospital.
yeah, you got it.
Which episode did you listen to? Van Hours?
Yeah. But a wild guess.
Yeah. Well, you're a good old friend of yours, right?
Exactly.
So, grew up in Duxbury from the beginning.
Yeah. Born and raised.
And who was in the house with you?
So three of us most of the times, and then 5 of us on the weekends. So
Okay.
I've got an older brother, Chris, 2
Yeah.
years older, younger sister, Erica, who's 2 years younger, and then I
Okay.
have 2 half brothers, Matt and Mark, who
Okay.
grew up in Cambridge but spent the weekends with us.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. That's,
Did you
so
know that?
I did not know that, and that's one of my favorite things of this podcast. I've known Dave for probably a decade now, maybe a little longer, and I never knew that.
Yeah.
Wow. So that made for interesting living at home.
Yeah, it was. I think we grew up probably wrong side of 3A in Duxbury.
Yeah.
But,
It was a big thing back then. I don't think it's as big now.
yeah, 585. no?
Yeah, you had a
It was
585. It
934.
was like bad news in Duxbury. 585. What is that? Extension? What is that? It's not your area code. Is it your extension?
Extension.
And then your number is your last 4 of your phone number? How does that work?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
Nobody knows phone numbers anymore.
No. Oh, so that was a question that we had. Do you know your wife's phone number?
I do.
Okay. Do you know your kids?
No.
No, me neither. Keithy?
Wife, yes.
Your kids don't have phones.
Yeah, we only have one phone, Kira, who's 13.
And you don't know her number.
I do not.
Do you know your father's number?
He passed away when I was in college.
Okay,
he
so-
doesn't have one anymore.
Okay, so he doesn't have a number anymore. We'll talk about that.
I mean,
See,
after Keith's opening joke about not knowing your father, it's getting a little weird in here, to be honest.
That's why I said it.
Again, so there you go. Something else I didn't know. Your mom?
Mom, yeah,
You know her number?
I do.
Okay. All right. So I know my father's. I do not know my mother's. I know she's 617. But when we were growing up, and you're a little younger, you just had to dial the 5.
Last 4.
No, you had to dial the
3.
5.
The 3 and then the 4.
No, because my number growing up was 585-9246.
Yeah.
You could just dial 9246 to call if you were in 585, I think was the way it worked.
Really?
If you were in the same 3-number prefix.
Okay.
Really?
Call it a prefix, yeah.
I think he might be right. And then it went to you had to dial like 82, like I was 826-9572. You had to dial that 826, and then eventually it was you had to dial the area code.
Exactly.
Okay, so you're in Duxbury on what you say is the wrong side of the tracks, and you go to Duxbury Public Schools.
Yeah, all years.
All
through senior year.
K through 12.
Yeah.
Play sports growing up.
I did, yeah.
Okay.
Played probably everything until got to high school, and then focused on soccer for the first few years.
Okay.
Wrestled all 4 years, and you probably won't believe this given we played together, but I played golf my senior year.
I believe that. I've seen you play. You got a wonderful
Duxbury
swing.
High. Well,
But wrestling. So do you wrestle before you get to high school, or is that something that starts in high school?
So I never did. They now have programs, I think, like they've done with lacrosse, right, to drive more development from the youth programs. But I actually, do you know Jed Hannon at all?
Oh, yeah.
I don't, but he might.
Okay, so Jed was one of my brother's friends, Chris, who was 2 years older.
Okay.
And I was a freshman in high school, and at the time I weighed about 96 pounds.
Yeah.
The team was looking for someone to wrestle 103.
Yeah.
So Jed came up to me on a Friday, and he's like, "What are you doing tomorrow? You want to try out wrestling?" I said, "All right, yeah, I'll do that."
Okay.
And,
This is your freshman year.
Just before the season started, so probably the fall of freshman year.
Yep.
And he goes,
Is that wrestling's a winter sport?
It is, yeah.
Okay.
So he goes, "I'll pick you up tomorrow at 9. Thinking we're gonna go to the Duxbury High School gym and show me what wrestling's all about. So
Right.
we get in his Jed had a Mustang 5.0.
Of course he did.
Pretty cool car for the time.
That's a dope ride back then.
So we get in the car, we drive right into the L Street bathhouse in Southie. And I'm wearing a pair of sweatpants and sneakers, and he just, he's like, "Why don't you get out there and wrestle that kid?" There's a kid from Brockton named Hakeem, and I just got tossed around. But I actually had a lot of fun doing it, and so that was kind of the start of my wrestling career.
So that's a pretty big nudge right there, getting into the wrestling.
Yeah.
So any coaches before that though, or any teachers in elementary school that piqued your interest in any subjects or anything like that? Were you a school guy? Like some people that sit in the chair love school, some people don't love school.
Yeah, academics was big in our house. My mom was an academic, and I think, if we're thinking about nudges early on, as cliche as this may sound, I feel like I got to nod, my cap to my mom too.
Yeah.
My parents got divorced when I was young, and so here's my mom, working a full-time job as an elementary school teacher and also, taking care of 3 kids. And so, but, she went out of her way to make sure we got to do everything, had everything that, that we wanted. And
Yeah.
so I think probably one of those things that when I look back, feel a little guilty for not recognizing sooner in life. But now, with 3 kids of my own and Kate working part-time, we're busy. It's kind of like you don't know how your mom did it. At the
Yeah.
time, so.
Yeah, and all the dad gets is the big piece of meat, right? No one says thank you for the hot water or the paying the bills or keeping the roof over your head. Same thing with your mom, right? You probably never said thank you you were probably looking at what you didn't have instead of what you did have.
Totally.
Which
Actually, interesting story I'll tell you. So
We love interesting stories.
Yeah, so after my parents got divorced, my dad moved out of state. We had a babysitter there with us most days to get us on the bus from Summer Street in Duxbury. But the one thing about Thelma was that she didn't drive. So here I am, 5 years old, going to preschool, and this is probably something I don't know if anybody knows, but my mom used to put me in a taxi to preschool. So here I am, a yellow taxi with my Smurf lunchbox, going off to preschool.
If somebody did that now,
Totally.
DSS would be at the door like that, right?
Exactly. It's probably one of those things maybe I would have been embarrassed to tell this story years ago. And now I look back on it and I'm like, here's all these little 5-year-olds getting out crying with their moms lifting in the door. And I'm just rolling in with...
See you later, Billy.
Rolling in with my cab driver. It was kind of a baller move at the time.
Keep the $2.
Yeah, flipping him a fin as you stroll up to first grade.
Don't forget to send me your Venmo.
I'll see you tomorrow, right? Same time?
Yeah.
So was it the same? Do you remember? Was it the same? You don't remember?
I don't. I'm sure it was.
Yeah.
I don't think it was. I don't think we were standing out on Summer Street waving down taxis in Duxbury, so I'm sure it was something arranged. But, interestingly enough, I think some of the other parents saw a 5-year-old riding a taxi to preschool every day, and I think called my mom, and they were like, look, we live right around the corner. Why don't we drive them?
But that, and it's so funny now, like you think about all the carpooling that you do, like that she didn't just reach out to the neighbor because she didn't probably want to impose on anybody.
Yeah.
Or like if she's anything like my wife is, my wife doesn't want to ask anybody for anything because she doesn't want to owe anybody anything.
Yeah.
So she'll drive to the ends of the earth being like, I'm not asking anybody for a ride because I don't want to have to give anybody else a ride.
Yeah.
But that's not very communal.
Well, my mom, she was an elementary school teacher at Hobmock in Pembroke. So, had to be there at a certain time. It wasn't like I'm going to be at the job 20 minutes late today, you know what I mean, while I drive my son to preschool. So, so that was the impetus of the taxi story.
And you certainly weren't allowed to have any kind of issues walking out that door because that taxi's waiting for you. That meat is running.
No, just one more game on my Xbox, Mom.
No, there's none of that. So that's an amazing story. So now you go through elementary school. You get into, but academics was important.
Yeah, it was. I, like I said, families were academics. I think probably wasn't as important for me when I was in, I guess, like every kid, elementary school or middle school. But, I worked hard in high school and oftentimes, honor roll, high honors. And I don't know what it was. I kind of like seeing my name in the paper and seeing people around town, congrats on all A's, I guess.
And they did away with that.
Really?
They don't put grades. They don't put the honor roll, high honor roll in the Duxbury newspaper anymore.
Because they feel like they're going to exclude the kids who don't make high honors?
That's exactly right. So instead of celebrating the Dave Madden of the world, the achievements, right, the guy that works hard, they don't want to hurt the feelings of the person that doesn't work hard. So they probably stopped that. I don't remember seeing it. I remember seeing it with my brother's kids, and their youngest is like 22 or 23 now. So they haven't done it in probably 5 or 6 years.
They do a Dean's List thing though.
That's for out of kids that don't go to Duxbury schools.
Got it.
So you call that in. For example, like if Annabelle, I could call in that she's on a roll at BB&N because she was in fact on a roll at BB&N. The plug for Annabelle there. Big day for her today. Big day.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, she finds out from a bunch of colleges today. Yeah.
That's so exciting.
Yeah.
Where is she hoping to get in?
I don't know if I'm allowed to say, but she's hoping for Michigan.
No kidding.
Yeah. So she applied to...
State or Michigan?
UMich.
Okay.
UMich, which I think is a reach. She thinks is a reach. I go off of what she tells me, which is crazy because she's a straight A student at Buckingham, Brown and Nichols. She's a 2-sport captain. She got like 2 or 3 leadership roles in the school, and it's not enough.
Maybe she's just being humble.
Well, I hope so, but
keeping her expectations low.
But she applied to some other schools and didn't get in. So it's like, what is enough for these kids? And I saw the amount of work this kid did. She worked her tail off for 4 years at school. She enjoys academics. She really likes it. And actually, your brother Craig and your friend Craig said something to me like maybe a year ago. Or she played hockey plays hockey, and there's a lot of talk about a lot of the girls that she played with are going to play D1 or D3 or whatever. And I was just sitting around with Craigie one night, and I'm like, she's just really into academics. And he's like, well, list the schools that she wants to go to, and it was Michigan, Florida, Virginia. She's like, yeah, she's a D1 student. That was, and I said, oh, that's a nice way to look at it, right? Like,
nice way to put it.
and we're guilty of this in our role as coaches, and we're all guilty of it, right? We celebrate the excellent football player. We celebrate the unbelievable hockey player. They get their name in the paper. They get their national sign letter of intent, right? And they take pictures and they put it all. I'm sure Hingham does the same thing, right?
Yeah, you see it on the Instagram page.
See him on the Instagram page, but like nobody celebrates, with the exception of the valedictorian, on the day of graduation. That person gets a 15-minute speech for 4 years of hard work, but they don't celebrate the sort of the day-to-day accolades that these kids get, whether it's theater, whether it's academics like that. It needs to be celebrated more, and we're guilty of it. And every year I tell myself I'm going to make a conscious effort to celebrate the academics of some of the girls that we coach at Duxbury High School, and I don't do it. So I'm as guilty as anybody else. But they don't celebrate academics enough, because it is a lot of hard work. So did school come easy for you, or did you have to grind on it?
I would say math and science came easy for me.
Okay.
English was harder. I'm someone who can pick up a book and read the same page 4 times before I actually get through it. I think, I don't know, wandering mind, I guess, sometimes. But math was, I didn't have to study much, and I did better than most people.
And science the same way?
Science the same way, yeah. In fact, Mr. Lozier, I think he was my junior algebra teacher. Another little story for you.
I love stories.
We had a junior year, we had a final, and the curve that they graded on was 115 points total on the algebra quiz. So whatever you got out of 115 was your score.
Okay.
They didn't think anyone was going to get above 100. So, so I took the test and I got it back, and it was I got like a 112.
Of course you did, David.
Boom.
Well,
Humble brag.
The real point of the story.
I was
here
solving for X left and right. Boom.
The real point of the story is that the teacher approached me a day later, and he goes, after I looked at your quiz, I went back and looked at my answer key, and I realized that mine was wrong and yours was right. You actually got a 115 out of 115.
Come on.
Yeah, I think the next highest grade was like an 87. So
wow,
I'm a numbers guy.
Wow, David.
Does that now play into your life? Do you do a lot of numbers now in your current job?
Well, I do. I'm in software sales.
Yeah.
Which was never really the path out of college.
And we'll get there.
Okay.
But I want to know. So do you use that? Do you use a lot of math in your business now? You do. Yeah. Okay. Good. And maybe that's why you ended up where you were. Subconsciously. So anyway, 4 years of wrestling. Did you get voted captain?
I was captain. Yep.
Yeah, we love captains in the seat. We got a lot of captains.
Wrestled 103, 112, 130, and 130.
So you were 130 your senior year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Big guys.
I don't think much taller, but a few pounds, few extra pounds on this frame at this point.
And were you guys was the team any good?
Yeah, we were good.
Yeah.
I think, I would say it was a immature program relative to some of the towns around us, like, Bridgewater, Brockton, but we competed.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed it. Came out with a winning record, I think, every year. And, one of those things I look back, maybe wish I put a little more effort into it, off the mat in the other weeks, but but I enjoyed it. Did
you do anything in the off season to prepare for the season? It was just like, hey Ma, get the wrestling leotard out.
Yeah. Like, let's starch it. I want this thing to be extra crispy and tight.
You know how I like it.
Extra
crispy and tight. So in wrestling, how important is the coach in wrestling?
Important.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's one of the things I actually really liked about wrestling, and it's not, dissimilar to competing in golf, right? When you're playing a match, is that you've got a one-on-one match, and that match, win, lose, or however many points you get contributes to whether or not, the team wins in the end, because it's it's the sum of, all the weight classes and how they compete. And so, to me, you're out there, you control your own match, and you're responsible, win or lose, for how that impacts the outcome of the team. And, to me, that's an interesting thing. It's no, Dan was hogging the puck, he didn't pass it to me.
Right.
It's you. It's all on you. It's did you did you prepare? Were you conditioned enough to stay 3 rounds with somebody? Did you have the right approach to beating someone who was tall and lanky, or short and stocky and strong? So yeah.
Yeah, and how many weight classes are there?
It's a good question. I mean, I think it went 103, 112, 19, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 52, 71, 85, and then I think maybe after 85 was heavyweight. So I think there's about 12. I don't know if it's changed. I mean, this was.
And you had now. What if you didn't have someone to wrestle at 170? Would they just stick someone? Could a 150 wrestle at a 170?
Yeah, you can wrestle up, but you can't wrestle down.
Can't wrestle down. Okay. And so if that would be, you wouldn't just forfeit that particular match. The guy that wrestled at 150 would also wrestle at 160 or whatever.
And that's where a coach is important too, right? When you think about the strategy of winning meets, it's hey, this guy at 130 is a cream puff. Anyone can beat him. We're going to put in our second string, and we're going to send someone up to go wrestle the 135 guy because we think he can beat someone 5-10 pounds above his weight class.
And at what weight differential was it kind of unattainable for that smaller guy to beat the bigger guy? Like, what was it, 10 pounds, 15 pounds?
Yeah, I was going to say 15, 20 probably, I think. But, it depends on how good the person was, too. So.
And technically sound he was.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you go through high school, Duxbury High School, wrestler, captain. Now it's on to college.
Yeah.
Where do you end up, and how?
So, Union College.
Great school.
Schenectady, New York. In fact, you talked about the Dutch, New York. Union's mascot used to be the Flying Dutchman.
Yeah.
They just changed it, though, to the Garnet Chargers. In fact, which is, I don't know if I like as much.
What's the significance of garnet?
It's the school color, kind of like Harvard Crimson. It's garnet for Union. So
got it.
We just went last weekend to the Union Harvard hockey game at Union. So
really, you went all the way. You went up there.
We went to Harvard.
Okay.
Not all the way to Schenectady.
Okay, I was gonna say it's a long ride.
We took the T.
Yeah. Who's we?
Kate, myself, 3 kids. It was interesting. They told me they'd never been on a train before. So we get on the Red Line from Braintree.
Yeah.
And we're like 2 stops in. They're like, this is taking so long.
Yeah.
So we Ubered home. But it was fun for them to take the T.
Well, so I had a similar adventure with Hank. We were going into a Red Sox game. And I said, you know what, buddy, let's take the train. We don't have to worry about parking. And, yeah, same thing. He was like 3 stops in. He's like, this is taking way too long. I think I was like 5 stops. Like, all right, we're getting off here.
Yeah.
we're gonna. It's because it's slow. It's slow going.
Yeah, but the kids, they're like Peter Dinklage and Elf, right? They're like, I want a black SUV, and I want it exactly 62 degrees.
Yeah, and make sure there's only green M&Ms in the back. How do you end up at Union?
Kind of random. I had a list of schools. A lot of them were NESCAC schools, and I remember my mom saying, your cousin goes to Union. Why don't we go take a visit? And I was probably didn't want to do it. Wanted to hang out with my friends that weekend, and honestly, it was the campus that kind of drew me to it.
Yeah.
And also, at the time, I wanted to be an engineer, and Union had a great engineering program, actually one of the oldest in the country. And so visited, fell in love with the campus, and just decided to go all in.
And that that desire to be in engineering dovetails with the math, and the science. So you were going right where you were good at. You're like, I like this, I'm good at it.
Yep.
Let's go do it.
Yeah.
So you go to Union. Excuse me. And do you study engineering?
I started out as a mechanical engineer my freshman year.
Wow. Mechanical engineer. That's an impressive.
It was a lot of
that's smart people.
Lab work, taking apart lawnmower engines and designing truss bridges on CAD before everyone had a personal computer. So it was kind of cool. Cool enough that I decided after my freshman year I was going to switch majors because engineering wasn't for me.
Was the workload interfering with your social life?
It was a little bit. Actually, Union was interesting because we were on a trimester schedule too, and so we had this. Was always like the last to leave for school in the summer. We didn't leave till mid-September, and then we would also have the time off between Thanksgiving and New Year's as an extra long break. But during the school year, there was a lot of semesters, which I think was after I switched to engineering, where I only had classes on Tuesday or Thursday or Monday, Wednesday, Friday, depending upon, the rotation that trimester. So, needless to say, there was a lot of free time in college.
Yeah, a lot of downtime in college.
Once I dropped the engineering major.
Yeah. Once I got rid of that learning thing, I was able to focus on what was really important, which was having a good time.
Now, I did keep some of it. So I actually graduated with industrial engineering degree, which is it's a little more broad. So think of it as a combination of engineering with math and science.
So what did you switch majors to? Is that what
Industrial
industrial engineering? Okay, so you stayed in the engineering school, the School of Engineering.
Yeah, but it's less hands-on, more economics, math, accounting.
So almost like a businessy.
It's about operational efficiencies and decision making, which
That's interesting stuff.
yeah.
And plus, they only go to school twice a week, so I was good with that. I know. You look at, and I'll just keep referencing Annabelle because she's about to go on to that world. Like, her day is packed. She's up at 5:30 and doesn't come home until 7:30 at night. Now, part of that's because she goes to school an hour away, but like these kids go from being completely jam packed, and even our kids at the young age that they're at, right?
Yeah.
They get up, they go to school, they come home, they do their homework, they go to sports, they come back home, they have dinner, and they go to bed. Like, their whole day is jam packed. You go to college and it's like, all right, I got 2 hours of stuff I got to do, and then the rest of the day is free. It's a big change.
It's huge.
And I can see why some kids might get lost with all that free time.
Yeah. I mean, I lived in under college, lived in a fraternity house, not my freshman year, but for, sophomore, junior, and senior year. And so there was never a shortage of people around to
opportunities,
find things to do.
Some good, some bad.
Whether that be gamble on the pool table with the cook in our fraternity house, or an early game of Pong.
Yeah, there you go. And did you like living in a fraternity?
I did.
Yeah.
Have you ever been a union?
I have not.
Okay, so gorgeous old campus, and it's all changed now. There's no fraternities on campus, but we had this house in the middle of the campus. I mean, it was essentially a mansion directly across from the library.
Yeah.
And I think it was probably 28 or 30 of us that lived there, and so it was, we had living room, we had our own kitchen, we had our own dining room.
Yeah.
We had a cook. We had a basement. Pool table, darts, ping pong. It was kind of like a playground for immature college kids.
So I saw, it's just funny that I remember seeing a comedian talking about college, and he's like, student loans are bad business. And he goes on, he's like, think about it this way. If they didn't call them student loans and they called them small business loans, and you were the small business and you went in and pitched your idea to the bank, and you were like, okay, I got an idea. You're going to loan me $150,000, and I'm going to go to school for 4 years and get a degree in sociology and party my brains out. Sound like a good deal? The bank would they'd run you out.
Totally.
Right? But they call it a student loan, and then they do that.
And they give them to almost anyone,
and now
at a low interest rate.
And now they're forgiving them.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
Are they?
Not really.
Oh, they are.
Is
I
that?
think so.
Are they following through on that?
Oh, yeah. Some of them are, yeah.
Watch out for that hot button. Watch out for that button.
Mine weren't. I paid mine.
You paid yours.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you feel about that? You should get a refund.
Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah.
Like, deducted on my taxes.
So you leave union, graduate from union, industrial engineer degree, going out into the real world. Do you come home?
I came home. Yep.
Came home to Massachusetts. Came home to
Duxbury.
Oh, you
Yep.
did?
Yeah.
Okay.
Family was still in Duxbury, and actually, I ended up getting a job before I left college. So, somewhat
Doing what?
randomly, at a small software startup, which is kind of where my now 23 years in software started.
So you you graduate with an engineering degree and go right into software.
Yeah, I had so growing up, I worked at the boatyard
Yeah.
most of my life, and then as I got to junior, senior year, I did some interns, State Street Global Advisors, Fidelity, and I kind of thought I'm gonna go work for J.P. Morgan or Lehman Brothers when I leave here, and wear a suit and do all the things that people do in a big city, and I ended up getting an offer. It was somewhat random if this dates it. I got my job on Monster.com. Is that still around?
I think it's called something else, like Indeed now or something, right? Didn't they take that over, kind
I
of?
think so.
I don't know if it's the same company or different, but
It's the
yeah.
same
Yeah.
idea, right? The posting board where you go find jobs.
But so it was the small software startup in Wayland, and they they reached out to me. I went and interviewed. The office was a shithole.
Yeah.
Can I say that?
Yeah, you can say that.
All right. But the I
appreciate the concern though from my younger listeners.
We were in this like building. It was like half of it was a dentist's office and half of it was a software company in Wayland, Mass. And so I actually did the commute from Duxbury to Wayland for a little while too, probably for about a year before I ended up moving into the city. But I started as a business analyst. I mean, essentially, this company was developing software. That was the goal. The focus of it was talent management. So helping big corporations with performance reviews, compensation, pay for performance strategies, succession planning, and learning and development.
We have all that here at Crowd Lending.
I don't doubt it.
Oh, you should doubt it.
Yeah, 100% doubt that.
That's a big old doubt right there. So go on. I'm listening.
So started out, writing specs, going visiting customers, bringing them back to, the engineers and the product managers and kind of saying, hey, this is what John Deere wants for their performance reviews. And so I spent, a lot of time on the road fresh out of college, actually.
Okay.
So it was essentially a consulting job.
Yep.
But I always found it funny that people were paying $300 an hour for Dave Madden 3 days out of college to go sit and listen to him.
Right. Like you knew what you were talking about. Like you knew what you were talking about. Oh, yeah. Let me write that down. Let me write that one down. Yeah.
Yeah, there was no, have you thought about this? It was just, we'll do that.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yep.
So, started, and eventually, it was actually a great opportunity for me. I mean, the company went from probably 25 people when I joined to about 300 people, and I was there for 5.5 years. I went through a number of different roles. I started, as I said, at business analyst. I went on to manage some projects as a 24, 25-year-old, with budgets in the $2 million a month, right? That companies like KPMG and others were spending, and actually ended my my final year with the company doing a year and a half overseas in London to open up a UK branch for them.
I didn't know. See, another thing I didn't know about you.
Yeah, that was covering all of Europe.
Okay, how was that experience?
It was awesome for a couple of reasons. I mean, one, just I think it might have been one of the first times I had been out of the country was with this company. I never went out as a kid, and so probably one of my regrets from college. If any of the youth who just heard me swear are listening, is that I never went on term abroad.
I'm with you. I didn't do it either, and I wish I did. So short-sighted and narrow-minded. I was so afraid to miss a party
exactly
that I didn't go to France or Italy or wherever.
I can't go in the fall. That's blacklight party. You know what I mean?
Right. God forbid I missed that.
Yeah. So it was awesome. Like I said, for a couple of reasons. I mean, one, we were based in London. I mean, I was all over Scandinavia, South Africa, Dubai, Europe for probably a year and a half, and just great experience. And we probably had $200,000 in landed revenue, and grew that to $4.5 million or so in the 18 months. And so, and also got some operations. Awesome opportunities. I mean, I worked at NATO headquarters for 2 months, which was just super cool.
That's pretty cool.
I mean, I would get to the building and I'd have an armed guard walking me around. Javier was his name. That was with a J, by the way, not a Y.
Javier.
And
not a Y.
What else? Javier.
Yeah. So this guy had to stand by my side as I'd walk through the halls. And like at the end, we kind of got friendly, and like I'd all of a sudden, well, not that friendly. But,
what do you mean?
What do you mean?
So all of a sudden I'd be with him, and I'd kind of drop back a little bit and hide, and then you'd see him look around.
Oh, really?
Where I went. Yeah.
Why did you need a bodyguard? Were they trying to keep an eye on someone hurting you, or keep you away from other people?
I think keep you out of the rooms you're not supposed to be in at NATO headquarters.
So they're guarding NATO. They're not guarding Dave Madden.
Yeah, no, I had no secrets.
Okay.
that were worth guarding.
Oh, that's not true, Dave.
Depends on who you ask. Wow. So, but you see, now I'm jealous because you kind of did a semester abroad, right? You did it a little later in life, which is probably better, given maybe a little bit more mature.
Yeah.
Appreciate some of the stuff a little bit, maybe a little bit more mature. I mean, at this point, you're what, 26, 25, 26 when you do this?
2005, so 26 to 27-ish.
Yeah. So what's your so how old are you
78.
now?
I just
So you're
turned
2 years
46.
younger than me. You're 2 years younger. Okay. And 4
ago.
years younger than Keithy.
Yeah.
Keithy,
Yeah.
big year for Keithy this year, 50.
I love it.
5-0.
Big party.
Huge.
So, and the other thing I was going to say is, I don't know if you knew this as well, but Kate actually came with me.
I did not know that. So I was going to ask when and where did you meet Kate?
So we had been. So the interesting part to this story was I had met her about 9 months before I moved to London.
Okay.
In Boston, and we had been dating way too short to be like, we should
Let's
move
go-
abroad together.
Yeah.
But it was also serious enough where kind of wondered what would happen if I left, and so I told her about the opportunity, and Kate's probably supported me in a lot of crazy things, and so she was kind of like, I want to go. I want to come with you, and I tend to have that effect on people.
Well, look what you did to Ruby. I mean, she could barely. She's blushing. I mean,
I remember
she wore her
this.
best outfit. Her hair's all done. Makeup's
I
done.
That's when you had the
Go to
place in
Europe.
Southie, right? You just bought the place.
I just bought the
Yeah,
place in
yeah, yeah, I
Southie,
remember
exactly,
that.
and
Yeah,
then I think I closed on it, and we moved.
Yeah.
I don't know, a couple months later or something. Too. So I don't even think I ever lived there. But the so the interesting thing was when Kate said she wanted to go. I'm like, this is probably met her parents twice. I'm like, all right, if we're going to do this, we got to drive down to Long Island where her parents were at the time. We got to talk to them about it and make sure they're okay with it.
Yeah.
I'm a prepared person. I think I had like bulleted notes that
Yeah.
I was going to
You were ready to go.
launch into at the right time after dinner, and finish dinner. We sit down. Her, mom clears the table. I think we were having a drink. We're sitting around the kitchen table, and it's kind of like, all right, this is my time. And then Kate just breaks out into tears and goes, "Dave and I are moving to London. There's nothing you can do about it."
And there's nothing you can do about it.
Now you went from being the nice guy to being the guy taking the guy's daughter away.
Yeah, so that was not how I drew up the evening.
Way to go, Kate.
Yeah.
Ruined that plan.
I love her move.
So were you able to walk it back at all?
I mean, I think there was a lot of long distance relationships can work. Kate was working in Harvard at the time. Like, what are you going to do about your job? Like,
Yeah.
what about your car? All that stuff. And anyways, and I think her grandmother probably judging her mom for letting her go live with a stranger in London. Too. But we ended up doing it, and Kate actually did. It's funny. We were researching visas, and my company was sponsoring me, so mine was easy. And then we were looking online, and it was like, how do you get a visa if you don't have a company sponsoring you? And like the examples were like, Bob, a doctor, founded a cure for cancer. So you should have seen Kate and I brainstorming about her visa application. But it ended up she ended up doing a grad program at the London School of Journalism, and worked at my company part time, and then did some interns while we were over there. So
which one of those three got her the visa? Was it the educate going over there to school?
exactly, yeah. You could, on a student visa, you could go and work part time.
Okay.
So
And who paid for the education over there? Her parents. So not only
it wasn't that serious yet.
so not only did you take her to London, but you were like, hey, buddy, can you foot the bill for the schooling so she can get a visa? Because I can't get her a visa. She hasn't cured cancer. I don't know what to tell you. That's amazing. Write the check so I can take your daughter to London, would you? Pass the potatoes. I'm starving.
She's gonna need a little spending cash too.
Yeah. Can we get like a monthly stipend? I can't afford it, So you go over there for 18 months, and what happens after 18 months? They send you home?
No, so I actually ended up leaving the company after 5.5 years, and so I was
At the end of that stint, you were in London.
Yeah, I think it was kind of one of those things where I felt like I had done a bunch of different roles and wasn't really sure what I was going to do for the company that was going to interest me when I came back. And there was a competitive company who was just trying to open up a UK office and Success Factors. And so they approached me about staying over and doing the same thing for another couple of years and kind of running their European operation. And, in hindsight, it was kind of probably my dream job at the time. But I think, visa was running out for Kate. I think she felt like she was missing out on a lot of things going on at home and her friends. And, she was there for my career, really, for the most part, not hers. And so
she was on pause, essentially. Her life was on pause a little bit.
Yeah. So I couldn't take the opportunity. But the CEO, Lars Dalgar, was like, well, look, just come back to the U.S. and I want you to work here for us and, make up your own job and do whatever you want. And so it's probably a little bit more liberal than he said it, but that's the way I envisioned it.
That's right. That's how it played out in my head. He was like, go anywhere in the world and do anything you want and we will pay you.
Yeah.
Just put Success Factors on your LinkedIn page and we'll pay you. Okay? Do you see the effect you have on women? So how old are you now? You moved back to the States.
Moved back to the States. Yep. We moved back into the condo that I bought just before we left to go to London. So moved into Southie, and I think at that point it was Kate and I lived together for a year, so we obviously weren't going to go get separate apartments when we moved back. So we moved into Southie, and I started working for Success Factor. So it would have been 2005. So I'm 27 years old.
Okay.
And so, it was an interesting company. I mean, I joined Lars, the CEO, who I met in London, like young guy. He started the company with a $20 million loan.
From who?
From an investor, a small seed
investor.
investor. Yeah, exactly. And so I think when I joined, we were 130 people, maybe 25 million in revenue. And so, 5 years later, company went from private to public. And the ultimate exit was Lars sold the company to SAP for $3.4 billion.
Billion.
With a B.
Wow.
Yeah. And so
when was that?
That was 2009.
How old is Lars at that point?
Lars was a young guy, Danish guy, kind of a big personality. Like, just one of those guys where after I met him in London and he wrote me a note, he copies the entire company on the note. You know what I mean? Or you'd be at a meeting with them and, you're talking to a customer and they're complaining about the product. And he's like, hold on a second. He would just pick up the speakerphone. He'd be like, call his head of engineering. He's like, I want every engineer in the room right now to come listen to this problem.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, it worked. Whatever he did worked.
Yeah, he got shit done.
Yeah, I guess so. 3.4 billion times. That's real money.
Yeah.
What do you do with that?
Anything you want.
Yeah.
Everything, yeah.
I mean, I know we probably didn't get all of it, right? But
exactly.
I mean, he got a big chunk.
He's doing all right.
Yeah, he's not struggling, right? If he wants an outdoor rink, he's putting up an outdoor rink.
With a chiller.
Yeah. So how long are you at Success Factors? If they sell in 2009, are you part of that?
I left. They got acquired by SAP.
Yeah.
So I left. I left it. Or maybe it was 10. So I left in 2009. But was part of the IPO. Obviously had equity as we went along, and so definitely benefited from the sale, even though it happened after I left.
Nice.
Yeah.
And where'd you go?
So right from there, I probably had 2 companies over the span of about 3 years that I didn't stay terribly long. Didn't I don't know. Didn't really do it. For
Wasn't
me,
the
I
right
guess,
fit.
For lack of a better word. Yeah. I think I had this awesome ride with both of the companies, and just as a 20 what is it at the time, 20 30-year-old, just decided I'm going to go do this exact same thing.
Yeah.
Not thinking that's not the reality of how every company works and grows and IPOs. And so probably made a couple rash decisions along the way. And, but then eventually, kind of ended up where I am now, where I've been for 8 years. So
I think when you were, I hate to call it jumping jobs, but when you were making those moves, I think that's about when we first met.
Yeah, probably.
Because that was like 2000.
Where people like, here comes Dave, the job jumper.
Well, I was like, this guy, fucking look at this loser, can't hold down a job. I gotta play golf with this guy. Where you working now, Dave? Yeah.
Give me your personal email. Your work one's gonna change next week, anyways.
Yeah. Give me your Gmail account so that I can actually reach you. No, but I just that it's funny you say that, because I do have a memory, and then you've been at this last job for 8 years, but in the meantime, you had some kids. You moved to Hingham. Like, what's the story there?
Yeah, we moved to Hingham.
And why Hingham?
Well, so Kate and I got married 2007.
Yeah.
We were still in Southie. I think we felt like we were getting a little old for Southie. Wanted to make a change, and our original plan was to stay in the city, but we wanted a few bedrooms, garage, a yard, and kind of cost prohibitive at the time to go move to the south end and find 2,500 square feet or whatever you wanted at the time. And so, growing up in Duxbury, I think we knew we wanted to go South Shore eventually. Kate didn't really have a desire to, live in Long Island long term. And we looked in Duxbury. At first, we were looking Duxbury, Hanover, Norwell, Situate, Cohasset, and I think just decided eventually we need to pick a town if we're ever going to find a house. And so, Hingham just felt like a half step away from the city. I was still traveling a lot. Kate was working at Northeastern then. And, Hingham had restaurants. And so so that's how we ended up deciding on Hingham, probably thinking we would continue further south, eventually at that point. But.
Yeah, I mean, Hingham's a great town. It really is. It's got tons of restaurants. It's got waterfront, right? It's got highway accessibility. Although if you're on the Weymouth side, it's hard to get to the highway from like, I mean, even from your house, right?
Yeah.
It's a little bit of a pain in the neck.
10 minutes to get to Derby
Yeah.
Street shops, or
Yeah.
even a couple more.
Yeah. But it is a wonderful town, and we actually Duxbury High School plays Hingham High School on Saturday night at 6 p.m. at lovely Pilgrim Arena.
Big game.
Big
Oh,
game.
no kidding.
And then the boys play on Monday. But I obviously have a lot of friends that live in Hingham, and it's a great town. We wish you lived in Duxbury, just for the record. And definitely all the moms wish you lived in Duxbury, but I mean, right? Look at her. She's like, oh my God.
Swoon.
And children.
Children, yeah, 3. So Kira's 13.
Wow.
Actually, today is her the middle of her middle school. So it's exactly halfway through. She's in 7th grade, so it's halfway through middle school is
Right.
today.
Okay.
I'll
Is that a
probably-
thing?
That's a dumb. Why would you even bring that
Yeah.
up?
Because that's where I'm going to go from here, is to hold up a poster and,
I mean, that-
and root her on.
No, you're not.
Why, what's
They
wrong
have
with
a.
that?
They're not actually having an event for this.
Yeah, they're inviting parents.
It's
No,
the
they're not.
middle of middle school.
Yeah.
That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Sounds so like Hingham.
Let's celebrate the fact that you're halfway through middle school.
I think it's sweet.
No, it's not.
We can't recognize academic achievements, but we can recognize time served at this point, I guess. Is that
Right. There's Kira like crossing off the days. I've been in this place for 119 days.
Times.
That'll be fun, David.
Yeah.
No, I'm really
Sounds
excited.
amazing. Make sure you bring a Yeti.
So Kira, 13.
Yeah.
Won't tell the middle school story again, apparently. But Emmett is Emmett's 9. He'll be
Yeah.
10 in May. He's in 4th grade, and then Owen, who I think you know is either the treasurer or secretary of the Mr. Nudge fan club.
Yeah.
Owen just turned 7 in January.
Wow. And Emmett's the football player, right?
Emmett is a football.
He
player,
likes
yep.
football.
He he's kind of one of those kids that he loves whatever season he's in, right? Like
Yeah.
when he's playing lacrosse, loves lacrosse. Right now he's loving basketball.
Yeah.
But he always kind of comes back to football as his favorite as well. So
And you're coaching football?
coaching football, yeah, this was the 3rd year. So the first year it was a combined 2nd and 3rd grade team. Then they were 3rd on their own, and now this was the 4th grade year.
And you've had some success, if I'm not mistaken.
They have, yeah, the second 3rd grade. Emmett was the 2nd grader. They won the Super Bowl,
Okay.
which was
No big deal.
exciting for the kids
And for you.
and for the parents. Yeah, we tend to get a little enjoyment out of it.
Of course you do. Everybody likes to win.
And then this year actually they had an undefeated season, but went on to lose the Super Bowl to Walpole, which I think was probably crushing. Although, as the kids, they'll probably learn more than they would have had they won every single game and then the Super Bowl. So
Yeah.
we'll try
And the parents will learn more too.
yeah, exactly. Try and take the positive out of it.
That's like what year was that the Patriots did that? 07? 08? Right?
Maybe
They
around
Yeah,
there.
ran the table. They lost the Jets.
Giants, yeah. And Kira's cheerleading still?
She's into cheer. I
Okay.
mean, that is that's her main thing.
Yeah.
And, I mean, you know it too. I
Yeah.
give these girls a lot of credit. I mean, she's at practice for 3.5 hours last
They're
night.
tremendous athletes.
Yeah,
The-
agreed.
So my Rose does. She's 15 now. The girls are incredible athletes, and I've always said it, and I'll say it again. My Rose is my best athlete.
Yeah.
Out of my 3 kids, just body control, spatial awareness, all that sort of stuff that you see an athlete have. Like she's got all that. Not to say my other kids aren't good at what they do, but and it comes from cheerleading.
Yeah.
And she did ballet for a long time.
And Kira's a tumbler too, so
Yeah.
she's doing the same thing.
Where does she go?
She goes to Premier.
Okay,
Spirit.
Premier.
Yeah,
All right.
I know ECE.
ECE,
right? Is-
yeah.
Yeah, Rose. Yeah.
Yeah. But do you know that way back when the the Russian hockey teams used to take ballet, all those when the Russian Red Army and before the America beat them in 1980, like those Russian teams that used to run the table, all those kids grew up doing ballet
For balance,
for balance,
stability, and
core strength, body awareness, all that stuff.
Irish step dancing for me.
Yeah, I could see.
Yeah.
That's what made you the tremendous athlete that you are.
Yeah, I mean, I was very good at Irish step.
I've seen him Irish.
I've
step,
seen
actually.
him too. Both of them, but him and his brother are
Yeah.
both very
Yeah.
good. Who was the best?
In the family?
Yeah,
It's probably Allison.
Allison.
Yeah.
She kill it.
Yeah, although Maeve was pretty good. Theater stunk. I stunk.
Did you?
I was only there for one reason. And then Craig was pretty good.
Why were you there for what was the reason?
It's Irish step dancing. It's
You had to do it.
well, yeah, that and
Is the costumes?
the costumes, obviously.
Do you call them costumes? What do we call them?
I don't think they're called. I think they're called
It's not Halloween.
uniforms or
I
something,
don't know
aren't
what
they?
they call them.
My niece does it.
Yeah.
She's actually on the Sacred Heart University Irish step dancing team.
Oh wow, they have teams now.
Yeah, they have teams.
Great.
Yeah, she went to Worlds and stuff. She was
Oh,
really
yeah.
good at it.
Yeah.
But it's you know, and you compare it. People say hockey people are crazy. Yeah, maybe we are, but your Kira, my Rose, they practice for 3 hours, 3 days a week, whatever it is. They have 5 competitions. I don't even know. And at each competition, they perform for 3 minutes. So you practice thousands and thousands of hours, and your competitive season is like all in, cumulative, 20 minutes?
Yeah.
20 minutes on stage, 25 minutes on stage maybe. But it's very impressive. And what about O-Dog? Is O going to follow his brother's footsteps and play some football?
He's he hasn't really found the athletic knack yet.
Okay.
Take him to flag football, and he's pulling the flags off his own teammates, and they're getting frustrated with him. So it's an interesting idea. He's playing basketball right now. He likes baseball, doing a little soccer, but his number one gift for Christmas was a DJ set. So he's super into Marshmello.
love
I got to send you the video. We had people over for New Year's Eve. I set up the basement with a bunch of speakers, and he's down there spinning
I
records.
think you sent us that.
Come
video.
on.
Oh my
Yeah,
God,
all
I
Kira's
love
friends and the
that.
moms were dancing down there. He's got the strobe light going.
No
and
way.
everything.
I
Yeah.
love it.
7.
7.
See, he's the one that's going to have the most fun in life.
Oh yeah.
He's not going to be worried about what team he's on. He's just going to be in with the ladies bumping up against his table.
If I
Right?
send him a picture of me in these headphones,
He's gonna go
think
nuts.
It's awesome.
Oh, that's amazing. Well, Dave, we appreciate you coming in. I'm sure there's a million other stories you could tell. I learned a lot about you today, which is wonderful. I think the audience will appreciate. One of the things that people say to me is that it's nice to hear people's stories because everybody kind of has a different story and a different way to have some success. And
Yeah.
your ways, you had your own trials and tribulations coming up and fought through them and ended up at Union and studied one thing and went into another thing, right? So like these kids that are going to college and they want them to declare as a freshman, who knows? You're 17 years old. You want to pick what you're going to do the rest of your life. And I think you're a perfect example of like it's okay to go study something that may be of interest for you and then figure it out after and who knows where life's going to take you.
Yeah.
So my one little parting story, I have a couple, but I'm gonna go with I'm actually gonna tell 2, I think.
Please do.
So there's a young kid that goes in for a job interview. He's like right out of college and he's still living with his parents, right? Much like some of us did. I didn't do that, but some of you might have. And he's sitting in the job interview and there's a bunch of other people lined up and he's got a suit and tie on and and he's just like dreaming of the day that he's going to move out of his parents' house and had enough of their nagging and telling him to turn the lights off and telling him to make his bed and telling him to keep everything in order and he's just had it, right? He's just like, this is it. I'm going to get this job. I'm going to rent my apartment and I'm going to be out of there. So he's sitting in the waiting room waiting and he looks out in the hallway and there's a light left on. So he gets up and instinctually goes off and he shuts the light, turns the light off. He sees on his way back there's a chair out of place. He goes over and he puts the chair away. And eventually it's his turn to go into the interview room and they don't ask him any questions. He sits down. He hands over his file and they don't ask him any questions. They just say, when are you going to start? And he says, well, what do you mean? You're not? He says, well, we were watching everybody on video and you were the only one that got up and did the things that we were hoping people would do. Shut off the lights, put the chair back in. It's obviously you have good habits. Someone taught you good habits. And as a result of that, we're going to give you the job. So he goes home and he gives his parents a big hug and kiss, right? Because those were the influences in his life. Those little things that they taught him helped him down the road, and he ended up getting the job because he did those little things. When everybody else was worried about, they just sitting there worried about themselves, he had the principles and the discipline to shut off the light, put the chair back, things like that. So I thought that was a nice story.
That's a sweet story.
Yeah, it's a nice story.
I like that.
And then I talk about winning a lot. I like to win. You like to win, right?
Yeah.
Keith, he's a big winner. I don't know. Do you care about winning?
Not really.
Yeah.
Honesty.
I mean, I love it. That's why we love her, right? I mean, not really. No, winning really doesn't matter. So I'll tell a little story about winning because winning, everybody defines winning however they define it, right? To me, it's like the scoreboard tells you who won.
Yep.
Right? It's pretty simple,
Doesn't
right?
lie.
If I have shoot a lower score than you, I won, right? But that can be misleading, right? Like, because you could feel like you won the game, but you didn't win on the scoreboard, and but I'm not a moral victory guy. But anyway, so there's a young girl. She's 9 years old, and she's running the 100 meters. So she got a coach, and she goes out and she runs the 100 meters, and 8 out of 8, she comes in dead last. Takes her 18 seconds to run the 100 meters. She comes back to her coach. She's all upset. She's like, "Coach, I finished last. I stink." And he said, "No, you didn't. Your goal was to run it in 20 seconds, and you ran it in 18 seconds. So that's the benchmark now." So she trains and trains and trains, and so she's gonna have another race. And what's winning to her at that point? What is winning to her?
Beating herself.
Beating herself,
Mm-hmm.
right? Getting a 17.9 would be winning for her at that point. So if she gets a 17, she wins. She comes back 2 weeks later, she gets a 16. That's great. So now she gets really good. She's doing great, and she has another race, and she goes out and she wins the race, but she wins it running a 20. Is that winning? To me, the message is no. That's not winning because you weren't better. You beat everybody else, but you weren't better than yourself the prior day. So if you just get a little bit better every single day and win every single day a little bit within yourself, then that's winning.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I would agree.
Keith?
She won the race, though.
She did win the final race.
She won.
Took home a trophy and everything.
All right. Well, on that note, and I tend to, so I fall somewhere in the middle, right? Like you want to be getting better and better and better, but there is a certain joy in winning, right? And being the winner.
Yeah, but if you took the hockey team and moved it to a less competitive league and you won the league, would that
Right.
be winning?
Yep.
No.
It would be, but agreed, 100%, right? Like you would feel hollow. That win would
Yeah.
feel a little bit hollow, right? I would agree with that. It'd be like if you were playing in like a member guest and you were like 40 and everybody else was like 70 and you won that flight. Like may or may not have happened in the past.
I've heard stories about that before. The whole gang was there.
The whole gang. Well, Dave, thank you for coming on. I appreciate you taking the time.
Thanks
Keithy,
for having me.
you're welcome. Keithy,
Danny,
nice
David.
to see you.
Keithy, good to see you.
Root beer.
Hi.
And if anybody needs anything, you know how to reach me because everybody needs a nudge. Goodbye.